Good evening, all of you. I'm Dr. Prajakta from Healing Harmony, and there's Dr. Manali with us. And today we are
Hi.
going to talk about the diets, the different types of diet, and especially the details about or the myths and the facts about the vegan and the gluten-free diet. So, before starting, I would just like to share my own story. Um, I'm very foodie. If if food, food, then the name of the food also excites me. And I think struggle all throughout my life for my weight, and I tried different kinds of diets and different kinds of food and different kinds of supplements and the formulas, to have a loss of weight. So I've been trying doing it since long time, but what I have found for myself, especially to follow any kind of a diet or you to follow any lifestyle in terms of your diet, I think the best solution what I got was after being a vegan. So I just want to share my story. Um, once I was reading this book called *Sapiens*. It is a book of his human evolution. Okay, so it has mentioned all the how the humans are evolved and the history of them. Right, in that there was a paragraph for the agriculture revolution and about the dairy industry. There were a lot of things which were mentioned. One of the very important thing which stuck to me was about the animal harassment. So I read that how they harass animals to get the milk, and there are it's like the cows, they get they get pregnant all throughout the year just for the milk. And when they're pregnant and the milk is there which is supposed to for their kids, those that milk is supplied to all these dairy industries and then gets supplied to all of us. Yeah. And how cruelty and the violence that they do with the animals, especially the cows and the other animals, it really stuck me. It really had some impact on me. And that was the moment when I just decided spontaneously, to just stop all the animal products. For me, I was a person with the milk to be the most important part of my life or my diet. The milk or the milk products, be it dahi or yogurt or yeah, paneer ho, ice creams ho, all those were my favorite. I generally used to get acidity and migraines and all these things. And once I have ice cream or anything related to milk, I used to feel really very happy. And in that scenario, suddenly it just then urge, a spontaneous urge came from within to just stop everything. And that is how it changed everything for me. It was an instinctual, spontaneous decision that came to me, and the whole life of me changed. Yeah. And later on, it was not just the one moment that was just a transformation, but it was the whole journey that I found it for myself. Yeah. And then talking about it, or experiencing lot of things while going through this was really an journey, and it has taught me a lot. Yeah. So how it went all ahead, and how I worked on my own diet and my journey, I just want to give you all those details and all those facts and the difficulties that I faced, and maybe that could help you to get your doubts clear or know more about these different kinds of diet that we have. Before going ahead, can you all see my screen? Manali?
Yes, ma'am, I can see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So when I started doing this, there were a lot of benefits that I could see. That generally I told you about my acidity, my migraines, but the moment I stopped milk or the dairy products in that sense, I suddenly started feeling no acidity. Even if the morning breakfast was very very difficult for me, but once I stopped that, I suddenly started feeling that acidity, that migraine has gone. I felt very light. I felt very unburdened. After the acidity, I used to feel a lot of heaviness and the bloating. And after that, I just saw that it nearly disappeared. Mentally also, I started feeling very very grounded, very light, and as if it was a guilt. Maybe I just recovered over a period of months, that it was just a guilt of getting those feelings when when animals are harassed, or any living being is harassed. You generally get those feeling through their foods. And I just felt very unburdened after that. And the whole journey began like that with this. So I started because it was a journey for me, because I also didn't know much about it. I started doing a lot of research about it, like what is the vegan diet and how we can make it a lifestyle for ourselves, and not just the matter of 2 months or 3 months, or just a fashion fad. So I started doing research, and then I searched a lot of things about it. So for all of you, there are different kinds of diet. There are these low carb diets, and there's Dukin diets and Alkins diet and intermittent fasting these days, vegan diet, gluten free diet. There are n number of the diets that are available. So for that, we are going to talk about each and every part of the type of the diet in our coming seminar. Today we are going to focus more on the vegan diet and the gluten free. Yeah. So what is vegan diet? Most of us, we think that vegan diet is just being vegetarian. No. So let's get more focus or the idea about the vegan diet. So it restricts actually all the animal products. Okay. All. And veganism is also associated with resistance to animal exploitation and the cruelty. So anything related to animals, not only the food substance, but anything related to the animals, if we make a minimum use of it, and in the process if you don't use it at all, it's called the veganism. Okay. And generally in terms of the diet, when we call, it is mainly eliminating the dairy, the eggs, and animal derived products such as gelatin, honey, albumin, whey, and some forms of vitamin D3. But there are lot myths about the veganism, because we feel that if you are a vegetarian हो, तो animal products आप नहीं ले रहे हो पहले से, fine, that is more easy journey. But जो non vegetarian है, and those who are converting into vegan, they feel that there are a lot of sources, बहुत सारे sources ऐसे हैं जो हमको non vegetarian food से मिलते हैं. How we will fulfill those requirements, the nutritional requirements about the diet. And that is how all the confusion and the doubts start in our mind. So let's talk about these myths. Ki veganism and vegetarianism are the same. This is the very very important thing that we generally think about. So basically it is avoiding everything, as we said, everything which is related to animals, and not just the having vegetables, or having a vegetarian diet. It's not that. It veganism is also same, and vegetarianism, both are based on the plant based diet. Okay, but the animal products are have to be excluded from your diet. Yeah, generally we feel that vegan diets are not healthy. We generally we thought we think, because if there is a non-vegetarian diet, the eggs, especially the dairy products, are not there, they are not healthy. Because in the practice also we see that a lot of mothers, they talk about, okay, not only with vegan, but there are kids who don't drink milk, or they're not taking milk as a as a part of their diet. They get worried, oh, why my child is not drinking milk, उसको कैल्शियम सप्लीमेंट कैसे मिलेगा, उसके बोन्स कैसे बढ़ेंगे. But milk is not just the source of calcium. There are a lot of other food substances which you can use for the calcium supplement. So it's a in a contrary what I felt, when you consider vegan diet, when you go more for the plant based diet, you're using lot of fruits, vegetables, you're using pulses, um, you're using nuts, kaju, badam, walnuts, you're using all these things, and in fact I felt it is more healthy than the any other type of a diet. Yeah, and also with that, with the fruits and the vegetables, it's more of, it's a more of healthy diet. So it's a combination of plant based diets as well as the healthy diet as well as the low carb diet. So definitely the vegan diets, they are healthy. Yeah, then only vegans need supplements, we think, because the non-vegetarian foods may generally vitamin B12, yeah, omega 3 fatty acids, zinc, iron, vitamin D, ये बहुत ज़्यादा मिलता है, right? तो हमको लगता है कि because we are not able to do that, we will be deficient of it. हमको ये source कहाँ से मिलेगा? But we are going to talk about those sources today, जो आपकी ये कमियां, these vitamins or these supplements can be fulfilled. Okay, because अगर आप देखोगे तो विटामिन B12 मैक्सिमम डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स, मीट और इंसेक्ट्स, एग्स, उसमें ज्यादा होता है, right? So what are the different sources for the vegan food? We are going to talk about that, which is very very important. And हमारे मन में ऐसा रहता है कि we are not healthy when we are vegan. So vitamin B12 सबसे maximum you can have banana and you get the maximum of B12. Also जो coconut milk, almond milk generally जो बाहर मिलते हैं, they are almost always fortified or added with vitamin B12. Mushroom, it's a very good source of vitamin B12. Then we can include proteins. Proteins may like tofu. Paneer ke jagah you use tofu, which has equal taste like paneer. No, in fact, it's highly rich source of calcium. Then lentils, nuts, seeds, quinoa. Quinoa is one form of a grain which you can replace with rice also. So that meal can become low carb as well as a vegan. Then nuts, it has all like proteins and the omega 3 fatty acids and the calcium also. So these you can include when you're having being a vegan. Then iron supplements, how you can fulfill with lot of lentils, all the pulses, all the dals, soya beans, okay, black beans specifically, chickpeas जो हमारे छोले हैं, grains में quinoa में है, फिर brown rice, oatmeal, हाँ oats जो आते हैं, they're very good source of fiber as well as iron, and very light to your digestive system. So you can add that so that your iron supplement can get fulfilled. Nuts and seeds, sunflower seed, different kinds of seeds हम देखते हैं आजकल हमारे स्टोर्स में हमको मिलते हैं. Sunflower seeds है, flax seeds है, chia seeds है, they all help to fulfill your requirement. omega 3 fatty acid जो सबसे important नॉन वेजिटेरियन सोर्स है फूड का, वो हमको फ्लैक्स सीड से मिल सकता है, चिया सीड से मिल सकता है, right? Walnut से भी मिल सकता है. So if we include these things in our diet, हमारा जो फैट कंटेंट है वो हेल्दी हो सकता है। तो आई डोंट थिंक जब हमारे पास इतने सारे ऑप्शंस है along with the other grains and the carbohydrate, I don't think vegan can be, can have deficiencies. And I think I'm following it since November, so it's more than 9 months. But I don't feel tired. I don't feel lethargic. I do, regularly my checkups for all these vitamins. I don't think I am deficient at all. So it's important that you have a balanced meal, balanced food to get the all the requirements fulfilled. Yeah. Yeah. So this we already spoke about, the calcium and the milk. It's not the milk is not the only source of calcium. There are a lot of supplements or replacements for the calcium that we can have from the other sources, like green leafy vegetables, ब्रोकोली है, कैबेज है, ओकरा यानी भिंडी है, केल केल करके एक सब्जी आती है, इट्स लाइक अ लीफी वेजिटेबल, वेरी गुड फॉर द अब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ द कैल्शियम फ्रॉम द फूड सब्सटेंसेस, राइट. So the milk में जो casein protein होता है that helps to absorb the calcium in the body, but kale does the same thing in the body. So if you can, you can include that too. Then soya, fortified soya या additional soya जिसमें calcium mix किया होता है. Rice is also some to some extent is a part of calcium supplement. Oats drinks, tofu, then sesame seeds, that is til, जो हम generally काफी time हम use करते हैं. So those are also calcium replacement we can use. Pulses, हमारे सब pulses, चना, beans, chole, all those matki, moong, all those pulses have ions and the calcium too, right? Then dried figs. Figs is a very good source. Fig matlab anjeer is a very good source of calcium replacement. Chia seeds, nuts, right? Spring onions. They all will give you calcium replacement. So you don't need just the milk for the calcium. Yeah. And the milk can be substituted by coconut milk or almond milk or soy milk. They taste similar like the normal dairy milk. So you can try. I personally would recommend more of soy milk and the coconut milk, which I have found a very, very good taste one. So you should try that, right? And then we say like it's very hard, you have to think a lot. अरे दूध नहीं खाएंगे, छाछ नहीं पियेंगे, पनीर नहीं खाएंगे तो क्या खाएंगे? It's very difficult. Every time हम क्या खाएं? But there are a lot of options. I don't think you can use all the grains. You can use wheat. You can use bajra, jawar, those grains, and the other fruits and vegetables. So I don't think once you take that thing in your head, on your mind, and there is a constant inner urge to follow this, I don't think it's a hard thing. Yeah. So we generally think we feel vegans generally feel very weak or tired because उनका ये सब supplements नहीं fulfill हो रहा है या ये supplements उनको नहीं मिल रहे हैं. But I don't think I have not felt at all any time this in my these journeys. And then I am attached to a lot of other groups, the vegan groups on Facebook and other social handles on Instagram, and we talk a lot about it. But the experience of all people who are following this, I have not seen this. If you're really feeling weak or tired of following anything vegan, always focus more on your balance kind of a food that if you take it. Yeah. And in fact, with fruits and vegetables more in the diet, the absorption, your gastric system become, unburdened because there is very, very less pressure on the system. So in fact, it would give you more energy. It gives more energy. I felt more energetic with that. And yeah, so food, my was a very, very important issue was, I never used to feel full. कि मैं थोड़ा सा भी खा के या मैं ज्यादा भी खाऊं. I never used to feel full. But once I started taking all these things together, like imagine a bowl जिसमें इतने सारे vegetables हो, fruits हो, या उसमें बहुत सारे सीड्स हो, नट्स हो, and you're making it wholesome diet, you're balancing your protein, carbohydrate, fat, I don't think you can feel like you're not filling. I think it's the most filling type of food that I had, and my issue of this not feeling full has completely gone because of it. And generally, why this happen, because we call it as a satiety feeling. Why we don't feel satiated, because at times there can be other things. If you're if you're feeling that, if you are already a vegan और आप ये अगर महसूस कर रहे हो, so then you need to change something differently. Like you start having a proper time for your food. You go very slowly and eat with your good mood, so that will help to activate more your appetite center to give the feeling of feeling full. So vegan cannot be just the reason of not feeling full. Okay, but you can always try, and if you have any questions you can always talk to us. Yeah, so I think my journey, being a vegan and having so many changes and actually a sudden transformation has led me to a very very good level where I am. And you should give it a chance, give it a try, and then experience it on your own. Yeah. So now let's go to the gluten-free one. I'd ask Manali to, take over. Manali.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, hi everyone, good evening. So, as ma'am was saying, that she adopted to a vegan or a like a plant-based diet for her diet journey because it suited her well. She adapted to it well. For my journey, what I felt was I had struggled for weight loss all my life, right? So I was feeling every time that I am not feeling, I was not full every time. I used to feel hungry all the time. And then I had cravings for cakes, pastries, pizzas, burgers, all the junk that was there. That was like the most important part of my life. And I couldn't live without it, I felt. But along with it, that came was those feeling of tiredness, fatigue, or what we say, I used to every time feel bloating in myself, or there was a passing of air, or anything that I used to always have stomach disturbances a lot. And I used to not understand that what is going wrong with me. And I was going on with this for a long time. And afterwards, I came to this concept of gluten free. So I read about it and I was like, I thought that this might be a reason for my um, weight gain also, and plus the stomach disturbances that I was having. So I would now like to tell you what is exactly a gluten free diet. Gluten basically is a family of proteins, a protein found in the diet, basically in wheat, barley, and rye. Yeah, gluten comes from the word glue, which Latin word glue, which literally means a sticky substance, like which when you add water to it, it mixes and makes a dough kind of a thing, right? So this gluten is basically the reason for most of the stomach disturbances that are there, and it affects mostly 1% of the population in the whole world. But 1% is also a big ratio according to the world population. So this gluten can be a reason for the stomach disturbances or the uh, intestinal disturbances that we have could be a reason for that. And mainly the reason is a celiac disease. So what is this celiac disease? Ma'am, could you change the slide? Yeah. So people say gluten is bad for some people. So gluten is not bad for some people. It's just that they are not able to digest the gluten properly in their body, and for some people, gluten becomes like a foreign body in their body. So there are two types of gluten intolerance that could happen in your body. That is, first is a celiac disease, where your body feels that gluten is some foreign body, other particle, which is that has come into your body, and it tries to fight with the gluten proteins that are there. And second thing is the non celiac gluten sensitivity, where there are no reason for the body to uh, reason for body to have celiac disease, but it still can't tolerate gluten in its body, which is a natural allergy for that substance in specific persons, and they are not able to digest it properly. So that is the second type of gluten intolerance that is there. So because of these two reasons, people have this symptoms of flatulence, like passing air, bloating, tiredness, fatigue, pain in the joints, lethargy, and these all symptoms are mainly seen. So, as I said, celiac disease is an autoimmune disease where the body fights, like our body fights it as a foreign particle. कि something कुछ बाहर से आ गया है अपने body में, and I should fight it. This is not something that is required in our body. It is a body's mechanism of fighting the outside particles, and it has many what we say symptoms like fatigue, depression, anemia can be caused by the celiac disease. And when you test it, it is very rare to find celiac disease because it is most commonly mistaken with some other diseases that are occurring. Right, so it is very rare to find out celiac diseases in person, but we have to introspect ourselves and try to find it out if this might be a reason for us. Okay, and the second thing is non celiac gluten sensitivity, where the persons are where celiac disease is ruled out for them, where they are not having celiac disease or any wheat allergy, but they are just they are allergic to gluten, and they can't digest it because their intestines cannot digest it properly. They are weak, or they cannot assimilate it properly from their body, and they generally have a skin rash or a bowel changes. They have bloating, pain, etc. So this is the non-gluten sensitivity. So what free foods that you could have and which are good in people who are having gluten sensitivity are some fruits like apples, bananas, tamarind, cherries, dates, guavas, kiwi, lemon, mangoes, orange, papaya, then peach, pineapples, plum, raspberry, watermelon, strawberry, any fruits that you could get seasonal at that time, you could have these fruits. Vegetables like beans, broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbages, carrots, corn, peas, cucumbers, eggplants, yani are bangan, garlic, lettuce, a type of salad, then mushroom, onions, potatoes, both white potatoes and sweet potatoes, radish, spinach, and the bell peppers that we get nowadays are a good sources like for having in gluten-free diet, right? But here the difference from the vegan diet that ma'am said as was कि in gluten-free foods, it is differentiated from the vegan food, that vegan food generally uh, like doesn't have animal products in it, but in gluten free food is something where a person is suffering from this and he feels that he has this sensitivity towards gluten and he's avoiding these things, but doesn't require that a person has to be vegan to be to follow the gluten free diet. These are both separate entities, right? So you can have both the things together, but if you can't, you could just follow either a gluten free diet or or just a vegan diet, right? But in gluten free foods, egg and dairy products are also a good source to have, like consuming butter, which is not does not have any additives added to it, any flavors. Then again, cheese, milk, and plain yogurts that we get, not the flavored ones that we get nowadays, just the plain yogurt, right? Then gluten free grains are also very like good, instead of the wheat flour, which is very which has the most content of gluten. You could use almond flour, brown rice, besan, then corn flour, corn, then starch, dal, flax seeds, millet, rice, sago, yani or sabudana, soy flour, yeast, etc. And meat, any meat that you eat, it should be a fresh meat that you get from the market, and not something that is kept for a long period of time. And what foods are there that you could avoid? The first and the main thing that to be avoided is wheat, then rye, again a type of flour, oats that we eat, suji, the rava that we have has the gluten in it. Then all kinds of cakes, biscuits, donuts that are prepared, pastas, everything has gluten in it. The chapatis that we prepare, of course, from the wheat flour, wheat breads that we get, and also asafoetida, that is the hing that we put in our tadkas generally, also has a content of gluten in it. So if you are having gluten sensitivity, please do check in with asafoetida, as it also contains gluten in it. Also, beer contains gluten, and some health drinks or any packaged drinks, cereals that we get, Kellogg's cereals, anything, all these packaged items, in for not having a caking property, like they should not adhere to each other, they have a gluten content in it, in the packaging, so that the food does not adhere to it. And so you should always check for on the packet that these things are all gluten free, right? So I would now like to tell Dr. Prajakta to take over and continue with it.
Yeah. So thank you, Manali. It was very good and all the information. But before before
Hi, Prajakta. Can I add a couple of points if you don't mind?
yes, yes,
Preeti here.
yeah, yeah, Preeti.
So, hi everyone, and I'm Dr. Preeti, and I just wanted to add a couple of points, excellent points like Prajakta and Manali, with just certain personal tips and good items for you to take back home. Number one, related to gluten. So, gluten-free diet, whether or not you have a gluten sensitivity. Huh? Dr. Manali was explaining that there is something called a celiac disease, and you may be having gluten in sensitivity, or you are gluten intolerant. Whether or not you have that, a gluten-free diet is absolutely healthy, especially for Indians and our culture, because we are such, especially in the north or in the west, who are wheat eaters. Wheat is our staple diet. तो हमारा खाना ज्यादा रोटी वाला होता है, और रोटी यानी गेहूं की रोटी वाला होता है. And we stuff ourselves with this roti. And the vegetables and the fiber and the salad and all of that is very minimal as compared to the carbs or the roti that we're eating. Also, all the processed food that we eat, so our maida, our breads, our pizza doughs, our pasta doughs, all of that is processed wheat, okay, and which is again gluten. So whether or not you have gluten sensitivity, I would recommend you to go gluten free. In our Ayurvedic diets also, if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, they will also tell you to eat other grains. They will tell you skip wheat. Why don't you try bajra, jawar, nachni, millets basically. Why don't you try all the other millets that are available? Even rice flour for that matter, because they are all rich in fiber. So if you are looking, if you have constant bloating, बहुत gas हो रही है, बहुत acidity होती है, and in a lot of Indian culture we see that, no, acidity, gases, eructation, बहुत ज़्यादा flatus निकलना, all that is quite common. So हमको पता भी नहीं होता कि we are gluten intolerant or we are lactose intolerant. So try this. Also, if you're trying to lose weight, this is a good option, because what happens is, if we try other millets, other grains for that matter, then हमारा फिलिंग जल्दी हो जाता है. तो इफ यू टेक अ भाकरी ऑफ बाजरा, लाइक हम एक भाकरी में जितना फिल हो जाएंगे, उसके कंपैरिजन में we may need, you may be needing at least 4 rotis, if they are small ones. So these are very high in fiber. So that is why it helps in weight loss. It helps in, reducing all the bloating that you have, which could be possibly due to gluten intolerance. and they are also rich in other sources. So these grains are very rich in, for example, जैसे नाचनी हम बोलते हैं in Maharashtra. I think it's a red millet, no, in English. Prajakta, correct me if I'm wrong.
Ragi.
Ragi. So if we eat that, it's such a rich source of calcium. Yeah, so these grains, these other millets are very, very healthy. They are very, very good. And you don't have to go for fancy grains. You don't necessarily have to run towards quinoa, for example. You can eat anything that is locally available. So rice ka atta, bajre ka atta, ragi ka atta, jawar ka atta, all these are easily available. They are very healthy. So try to convert yourself into bhakti. It is good for taste, it's good for experimenting, and it's overall very healthy. So I would recommend, if you have diabetes, you have constant bloating, you're trying to lose weight, or you're just trying to experiment, uh, try using all the other grains that are available. Okay, so you may not want to avoid all the little things that Manali said, but even if you avoid जितना wheat हम कम कर सकते हैं, जितना मैदा हम कर सकते हैं, we can try bringing bhakri and other grains in your diet. Okay. So for breakfast, for example, poha is something that you can, definitely eat. Instead of making upma with, normal rava, you could make upma with oats. Now, oats, the original oats hote hain, they are naturally gluten free. But some you will have to make sure that you are able to get gluten free oats properly, because generally jahan oats they manufacture in units which are making wheat and rye and barley, which are high in gluten. So you'll have to be very sure that you try and pick up the correct source of oats which are really gluten free. Otherwise the regular oats hote hain, they may be contaminated with gluten. But all that minor nitty-gritties is also important for people who are really gluten intolerant, just 1% of population. So if you're simply trying to lose weight, trying to increase fiber in your diet and trying to experiment, then regular oats is also fine. Yeah, it's just a break from your only wheat diet. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. Another point I wanted to add before I hand it back to Prajakta was about vegan food and vegan journeys. So whether one thing that because I come from a Gujarati background, I thought this tip will be very helpful to all those people who are addicted to chas. Okay, so I found out this recipe which we generally use in our household is that we take coconut milk, add little drops of lemon juice in it, and you get ready-made instant buttermilk. So there is no overnight making of curd, etc. Also, so this is instant buttermilk to crave your those taste buds. So that's one tip. And lastly, whether you are switching to a vegan lifestyle or you're switching to a gluten-free lifestyle or a plant-based diet entirely, remember that you have to be not, and I'm sure Prajakta is going to cover it, but from my end, I just want to say, don't become anal about it. मतलब ऐसे मत करो कि बस मैंने प्रण ले लिया and I have to do this and I'm not going to change it. Be very, you know, be very flexible about it and don't be anal about it. By not being anal means don't become a fascist about it. Sometimes you have cravings for wheat, have your pizza once in a while, no problem. Have your ice cream once in a while, or kheer, milk wala kheer once in a while, doesn't matter. But in general, just try and experiment with these diets and see what difference it's making to your life. Yeah. Over to you, Prajakta. Sorry to grab so much of your time.
So thank you, Preeti, and it was wonderful. I think it was all the practical things that you told, and then you raised a very good point about just being too much thinking about it or sticking to it. So there are different types that we generally spoke, but what is suiting you? What is something that you really want to do? You can experiment with yourself. Maybe you start whatever the vegan, yeah, gluten free, you start taking up and start doing it. Once you start experimenting and seeing your own results, whether it is difficult, not difficult, whether you're able to do it, not do it, you will follow it through your own experience. And then your body will always give you symptoms. We generally don't listen to our own body. It will give you signals that you're full, पेट भर गया है. If you're not really feeling well, it will give you some or other symptom, tiredness, weakness, and not feeling energetic. So give importance to those signs and symptoms, but see your own journey, find your own process, find your own diet, because we spoke about our journeys and the general information of the diet, but it is you who is going to find something for yourself. Yeah, so try experimenting it. And if you have any doubts or any difficulties, you can always talk to us. We have like personalized kind of a diet consultation, because whether it is a weight loss or a vegan or a gluten free, or if you have any complaints in terms of the medical complaints, then you should have your personal kind of a diet. So you can always talk to us. And we spoke our own journeys, but it's not that you have to stick to anything. You can get all the information. You can join for other webinar where talk of different types of diet, maybe something from that suits you. So you can choose from that. And yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for joining, and thank you, Manali. And
Thank you, ma'am.
if you have any doubts and any queries, or you need any personal consultation, you can connect to either me, Manali, or Dr. Preeti. Yeah.
Do
And
we have any questions right now? Maybe you want to take?
yes, if anybody has any questions. You can write in the chat, or I can unmute you. Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe after this session, if you think about it, read about it, and then you have any questions or doubt, you can always connect to us. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe, and tune with us. We have a lot of health-related events and the webinars. Yeah, I think Narendra has some question. I will
Yeah, so
unmute. Yeah.
so I want to know how harmful is being like intolerant, having the intolerance of this gluten substance. How harmful it is, means even if we continue eating gluten, what will, how far will it affect my body? That's what I want to. Means it is it like very threatening to me or something like.
Okay, so if you have found it out that okay, you have a gluten sensitivity, and you have these celiac disease in specific or in particular, then it is always better to avoid that. Or till the time you do something for that sensitivity of yours. So what I mean by that is that if it is an autoimmune complaint, right? So if you work on your sensitivity, that hypersensitive response which your body gives to this gluten, if unless you work for that sensitivity response, you will be getting these kinds of complaints, right? Some or other, matlab jo bhi diarrhea ho, gastric complaints ho, tiredness, as Manali explained, right? What I have seen in the practice is any autoimmune disease, be it a celiac diseases or in that of psoriasis, any other thing, homeopathy has a very good response or results in it. So it works basically on your system. So along with it, in the initial background, if you start decreasing the taking of gluten, and start with the medicines and make your system in a balanced way, there is a possibility that you will be able to have the gluten also in the coming time for your life. But if you're not doing anything, it is always better that you avoid taking as much as possible rather than waiting for the symptoms to get developed.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to add one more thing that, as Dr. Prajakta mentioned already, that you'll be symptomatic, and it can be quite discomforting. I know, like a couple of patients of ours, constant belching and bloating, and sometimes uncomfortable. They're loud belching, loud burping, and lose motions early in the morning as soon as you eat. Do teen bar motions jana padta hai, etc. So those are typical symptoms. But what also happens is, if you continue to eat gluten, what happens is your absorption of some vital vitamins or nutrition, because constantly jab, it kind of affects your small intestine, your gut tissue gets damaged, and some of the nutrients that are necessary from your regular food also you're not able to absorb. But if you're asking, is it life threatening and something major will happen? Very, 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 very rare cases. Nothing major will happen. It's more like a lifestyle disorder. But eventually, a lot of nutrition absorptional issue starts developing so, you may get, like, if you're not able to absorb vitamin D, then some problem, vitamin B12, and some problem, which may or may not even get diagnosed. But in vast majority of the patients and the population, you all don't have gluten. I mean, you don't have celiac disease. You may have mild gluten intolerance. But as I said, gluten-free diet is a very healthy option. So, you should nevertheless go with this alternative. Okay? I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Esha, I think you have a similar question. Do you need to go check for gluten sensitivity? I don't think anybody should. It's more symptomatic, and your regular physician, if you are under us or any other doctor, they should be able to pinpoint. And also, what is the best thing to do is experiment. And a lot of times we tell this to our patients and clients. Okay, just try 1 week of complete gluten free. Yeah, so Dr. Manali gave you a big list of things that are gluten free. Completely eliminate it in your diet for 1 week, and the next week you will see whether are you better, are your headaches better, is your bloating better, and all of that. Similarly, if you're lactose intolerant, a lot of people go vegan because they think, in India especially, we don't check these things, right? So a lot of us who are already lactose intolerant, the milk and milk products allergy, we don't even realize, and we end up getting symptoms. So just experiment by avoiding it completely for one whole week, and you will have your answer yourself. But do whatever you're doing, do it under a registered doctor and a physician who can help you. All right?
Dr. Preeti, yeah, hello.
Yes,
I would
Manali.
like to add something because I am also on a like gluten-free somewhat kind of a diet, and not exactly gluten-free, but I am intermittently fasting right now, and I am off wheat for a long time, like almost 3 to 4 months. So as you said, I have been experiencing this for myself, that I'm having the less of bloating, the less of acidity that I was having earlier, and my bowel movements have improved a lot after that. After I'm only on bhakris at this time, because in the winter season I was having bajre ka bhakri, and now I'm having jawar or nachni ka bhakri. So I have seen this results in myself for sure. So I would suggest Isha that she would also like to switch on to something like this. Then it would surely tell her that is she really gluten intolerant or not. That would answer her question maybe, and she doesn't require a gluten sensitivity exactly for that.
Absolutely. So just give it a shot, and several. I mean, Prajakta and I have seen in our personal experiences and in our patients in the clinic, so many cases of people who just sometimes not even medicine is required. The only need is a lifestyle change. Several cases of severe migraines, chronic acidity, chronic bloating, all of that disappears if you make these certain lifestyle changes. Do it, of course, under the supervision of a doctor, but a good experimentation is always good. Yeah.
Anybody else has any question? Great. And my personal recommendation would be vegan plus gluten free. So that is something that I am following right now. You can experiment any of it or both of them together. My experience is wonderful, and share your experiences if you're following. Any feedbacks after you follow some diets, if you need any help, you can always connect to us. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good night, and
Yeah.
see you again. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.